Hello everybody, welcome back to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, bringing a brand new review, and today I'm going to be reviewing A Real Pain, which is out in UK cinemas tomorrow, Wednesday the 8th of January. It is now available to buy on digital out there in the States, and I guess we can say this is the first review properly into our award season. Yes, we've had a lot of reviews for films that are going to be nominated, but this is probably the first one where we know this film's going to be in contention for maybe multiple Oscars. It's just won a Golden Globe. I'll be talking about that and a few other things, but before I get into the film, I do want to hear from people at home, so please do comment your thoughts on A Real Pain. If you've seen this at the cinema, what your thoughts were on the film, if you're looking forward to seeing it if you haven't already. It's a really interesting watch. I had a few friends that saw this back at London Film Festival, and I was hearing amazing things about this from so many people, so I've been really excited to see this one. And in line with that, just talking about London Film Festival, social medias and stuff, if you want to find out what videos we're doing, what we're working on, we did a Golden Globes live stream on Monday. We went through the winners, gave some thoughts on Oscar season, award season so far. And if you want to find out that sort of video, we've got a playlist on the channel. We've got a lot more reviews to come. We've got BAFTA nominations, Oscar nominations, both next week. When they're out, we'll know exactly what films we'll also be doing reviews for. So if you want to find out about other videos, things we're working on, get us on our social medias. Linktree.com/cinemasavvy will put you onto our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd and Blue Sky accounts. That being said, let's talk about this film. And I knew next to nothing going into this. I knew that Jesse Eisenberg was writing and directing it, and I knew that Kieran Culkin was also in the film. That was it. Didn't know anything about story, the production, what it's about, the other actors involved. It was really interesting going into this so short. And another thing that completely caught me off guard, it's a 90-minute film. We don't get many of them anymore. And I'm not saying a film should be shorter or it should be longer, but particularly with Oscar season, you do get films that feel a lot longer, or there are certain films where they can drag. But I feel like the art of the 90-minute film has not been around for so long, so it's really refreshing to get a 90-minute. And in a drama as well, and it not being an animated film, it not being a comedy, a 90-minute drama I thought was a great length and was kind of exciting me a bit more going into it. And talking about my thoughts going into it, I was kind of amazed by it, if I'm honest. I haven't seen Jesse Eisenberg's directorial debut. I think he co-wrote that too. I put it in the intro on the post a bit, and I couldn't sort of believe he'd not made something this competent. That sounds like I'm doubting him already, but it felt like a really well directed film. And I think because we think of him from him, I say being younger, because he hasn't really aged, he's always looked quite young. The films he's been in, you don't maybe associate him with like an actor turned director, but then you realize he wrote this film as well, and I just think he did an incredible job with it, and it's quite personal to him with his Polish background. He was curious about a film, well, I don't want to use the word curious, but with his Polish background of what happened in the war, he wanted to explore what he thought about in his personal life and putting it onto the big screen as a sort of, I don't want to call it like a buddy comedy. It's almost like I don't know the right type of genre for it. It could fit into 2 or 3 different things. Not like, I don't want to call it a coming of age film, but there's some weird hybrid there with that, with a buddy film, with a drama and a bit of comedy. It was a really interesting film to watch, and I have obviously just seen this the first time earlier today, and I just, as I said, I couldn't wrap my head around how competent the film was directed by him, especially with him starring in this as well, who I think is a very good actor. I think he's actually a very underrated actor. I think people look at Lex Luthor, and there's a lot of stuff on that. People go to The Social Network, which is an incredible film, and I don't think people really talk about the other things, but I think he's done so much in Hollywood. So it's really great to see him doing a directing type thing, and the character he's playing in this, I'm not saying it's a parody of himself or he's playing himself, but with it being a very personal story to him in the background to writing it, it's really interesting. The character he plays is more akin to how you would expect him to be on screen. And on the other hand, we have Kieran Culkin, who, if you've seen Succession, then you know what you can expect from him as an actor. He's a great actor, and he's starting to be in a lot more things. Obviously with Succession, he's obviously won Emmys and whatnot, but he's just won the Golden Globe yesterday for supporting actor. That kind of made me a bit more excited to see the film, and I've got to say he was great in this. And I actually thought, I've seen some people comparing this to Succession, saying he's playing a similar type of character. He's really not. But what's really interesting is there are times when I don't like his character and Jesse Eisenberg's character, and there are times when I feel then angry at myself for having disliked them, because as the story goes on and you find out more about them, their paths, and what the real meaning of this is, it's not just about two people paying respect to the grandparent who passed away or going adventure. They're trying to re-find themselves and repair a relationship between two cousins. And I don't think films have really done that before in a way such as this, and it was almost heartbreaking at times. I just couldn't wrap my head around how well it was written. And I think the writing is one thing, but then the actors who were in these roles really do add not only the character, but if you have the wrong actor, you have the wrong performance, then the film isn't going to function. So I think by getting Kieran Culkin involved, it really just added another level to his character. I think if you get the wrong actor, his character just becomes awful. It could be hateable. If you get the wrong actor on board, then the film isn't going to work, the film isn't going to function. And it really does hinge on both of the leads in this. And I really liked it. And on a secondary point, with it being not a Holocaust film, but it's Americans with the heritage of Poland going on a tourist trip holiday, going around famous historical sites. I thought it was really interesting. We haven't really had that done too much with modern cinema, and I just think it opened up a really interesting door to not like exploring like Poland or like European films, but everything's so much elaborated onto Americanisms, or it's onto British stuff, or it's like fleetingly passing through some of these cities. I quite enjoyed it being actually pretty much entirely set in Poland by the start and end, and I think that just added a lot, that you got to see some really beautiful sights. You got a bit of history on the side as well, and they played up the whole tourist guide stuff as well, so there's some really solid performances in there. But as far as a film goes, it's really tricky talking about writing it. It feels very personal as well. Granted, I've got no Polish heritage, I'm not Jewish, I've got no connection to the religion, I'm not a religious person at all, if I'm honest. I've never even been to Poland, I've been around Europe, but it felt like when you're watching this film, you can, or in my perspective, I saw myself in each of these characters, and I'd be really curious to know how other people thought about that if they've seen this film, did they relate to them at times? It's dealing with grief whilst at the same time looking at the future, and I think when you're a certain age, or there's certain expectations, whether it be family, whether it be professionally, whether it be personally, it's something that this film really related to, and I think that's what stuck with me. That's what's really driven this for me, that I've been able to relate to both characters whilst at the same time completely unrelating to them, being far away. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm really curious on what people think, and that being said, it's award season, so I do want to quickly talk about what I think this film could do at award season. I could easily see this getting a load of nominations. I think Kieran Culkin's locked in for a nomination for supporting actor. I really hope this is up for original screenplay. I think it's a great screenplay, and I'd like to actually know a little bit more about the production side of the film. I know, as I mentioned, there's Jesse Eisenberg's family history. I think I read something that some ideas came during COVID, or he was looking on street maps at some of the places he wanted to visit to do this. So it's obviously been an idea that's been with him for quite a few years, but yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how this goes down, how this goes with other people. I know it's available to watch digitally in America now. I'm curious about the UK cinema audiences. I know Cineworld's just done a preview screening tonight as well. So I'm curious about this film. I've really enjoyed it. I'm glad a lot of people have enjoyed it, and I do wonder if it's something other people can relate to. So this is going to be my review for Real Pain. I know it's a little bit short, so I didn't mention the soundtrack, sorry. It's got a beautiful soundtrack, almost entirely played on the piano, and I love scores like that. We don't get them too often, and I think that's a really big thing. It probably won't be nominated for Best Score, even though it's got a great soundtrack. But that lives exactly what the story is trying to tell. It's the right narrative choices and characters playing the piano alongside of us. It's a really touching film, and that's what we're going to kind of delicately end this review on. So that's going to do it for my review today on A Real Pain. Do I recommend this? Absolutely. I do suggest seeing this film. I think, as I said, it'll be a player in award season, but I think it's just a really interesting drama, and one that's quite unique that I haven't seen before personally. So yeah, go see it as soon as you can. Maybe we'll have some more nominations. We'll be doing a video on them as they go up next Wednesday and Friday for BAFTA and Oscars. Aside from that, there's plenty of stuff happening on the channel. We've got skeleton reviews coming every Wednesday. We've got new releases. We've got other series we're working on. It's the new year. We've been going through so many old films, so there's a lot more. So if you're curious, do stick around. We appreciate any support, and a lot of people have been tuning in for the award season coverage. Thank you so much. Hope to see you on the next one. And that's going to do it for today. So as I said, thank you again. Take care.